Now then, Vinyl Monkey once more, continuing on my ranking some of my LP collections, and this time it's none other than Mr. Edged White, aka Elton John, of course. And yeah, Elton John, I mean, I never, at the time, back in the early 70s with Elton, when Elton really started to make it, I never really got it, I've got to say. I wasn't averse to glam rock by any means. I was right into T-Rex, as you know, Bowie, some of the others, but Elton, I don't know, he always seemed, I don't know, it was just his image with his, little fat lad with glasses or whatever, coming from a big fat lad without glasses, that's rich, but he seemed a bit square. He was, I thought of him as a bit lightweight, some nice singles, but I never really got into him, and it was only, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago when I started to get back into listening to vinyl, and I started rooting around car boots and second-hand record shops and the like, and I started picking up one or two early Elton John albums, because they were all tending to be in the sort of bargain prices. You were picking them up for 2, 3, 4 quid at that time, and I thought, oh, there's one or two decent songs on here. But I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of those LPs, so I kept collecting them, and I've got 11 of them now, and I'm going to rank them from 11 to 1. So it's not Elton's whole collection by any means. In fact, it only goes up to I only go up to about 1976, I think, is the last one, and that's not to say that he might not have produced some good stuff after that. In fact, if anyone has any recommendations that you think I should root out for LPs after that, then please do so. But so I'm going to rank all his LPs from his debut in 1969 through to the last one that I've got in 1976, and that's 11 albums in total. And so starting at number 11 is in fact his debut album from 1969, which is Empty Sky. I mean, I'd always thought Elton's first album was the album that was titled Elton John, but that was his second album. This was his debut. And this is very much Elton John, I think, finding his style. There are some nice songs on here, but overall, it's not the most coherent LP. It's certainly the LP of all these 11 that sound least like Elton John to me, and some people might think that's a good thing. But there are some signs of what's to come, some nice songs on it. But that's my number 11. My favourite track on it is the opener, actually, the 8-minute opener, the title track, Empty Sky. That's Empty Sky from 1969. My number 10 is from 1975, and this is Rock of the Westies, which was Elton trying to be funny with a spoonerism in the title. People talk about West of the Rockies, which is, I suppose, where he'd decamped to and where he probably recorded this album, but he's called it Rock of the Westies. Elton John had a great band right from the early 70s through to just before this album, actually. Brilliant band. Nigel Olsson on drums, Davy Johnson on lead guitar, Dee Murray on bass, and yes, super tight, lovely band, great backing vocals they provided for Elton. But on this one he'd actually introduced a new rhythm section. There's a slightly different sound on this, looser, a bit funkier, upbeat. There's a sort of lightness and a lightheartedness and a self-deprecatory sort of style to some extent about this one, which makes it quite a pleasant sort of album to listen to. Favourite track is I Feel Like a Bullet, in the gun of Robert Ford, it says, but that's Rock of the Westies from 1975, my number 10. My number 9 is the one I mentioned earlier that I thought was his debut album. In fact, was his second album, the self-titled Elton John from 1970. And this opens with the absolute gorgeous Your Song, which obviously was his first hit single. And this was definitely a sign of things to come. This was Elton, you know, really he'd found his sort of style for this album. Personally, I find the orchestration on here, Paul Buckmaster was in. I mean, some of the orchestration on some of the albums really works. On this one, it works, but I just find it a little bit over the top for my personal taste, and that's maybe why I've marked it down a little bit. But some really nice songs, particularly obviously the opening track, Your Song. That's Elton John from 1970, my number 9. My number 8 is from 73, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. This it's a really nice album. I mean, again, it opens with an absolute classic, Daniel. I love it. It's beautiful song. Still put it on regularly in the jukeboxes when I see it. But this has got a nice mix of styles on this one. It's got a real nice poppy sort of vibe running right through it. It's got a really nice lyric booklet that comes with it. I mean, some of Elton John's extras, the little lyric booklets and everything, are absolutely superb. But this one's lovely. Some great photographs and artwork and lyrics, and yeah, he didn't spare any expense on quite a few of his albums from this point onwards. But yeah, lovely album. Favourite track is, as I say, the absolutely gorgeous Daniel, but some other nice stuff on here. Crocodile Rock's on here as well, which is obviously good fun. But that's my number 8, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, from 1973. My number 7 is the very famous, very well known, perhaps his most well known album, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, with its trifold sleeve, and as I say, no expense spared on these. The inner sleeves as well had all these lyrics and artwork on, and double album. And for me, this album has got some of his best stuff and some of his worst stuff. I think some of the songs are absolutely great. The title track, I love Benny and the Jets. I mean, Candle in the Wind in its original version, I thought was a really nice song. The opening, Love Lies Bleeding, great stuff. But it's got some really awful stuff, in my opinion. Some quite naff stuff. I mean, it might have been Mickey taking or whatever, but some of the songs, let me see, Jamaica Jerk Off, I mean, awful. Grey Seal, a bit of a non-entity. Dirty Little Girl, ooh, nasty, pretty awful stuff. And I suppose, you know, if this had been a single album, then yeah, it would have been up there with the very best. But for me, because of that, yeah, going from great stuff to awful stuff, I find this hard to listen to all the way through. In fact, I can't listen to it all the way through. I think if I was going to listen to any of it, it'd be side one. But so for the great stuff, for that reason, I've got it in as my number 7, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, also from 1973. From the year later, 1974, is my number 6. This is Caribou. I mean, what a particularly awful photo, I think, of Elton on the front, and then I don't know, a pretty grim out of focus photo of him and Bernie Taupin on the back there as well. I don't know, he's really sort of slipped a bit on this one, artwork and cover wise, I think. But this is Caribou from 1974. Brilliant 3 tracks that open it. The Bitch Is Back, you'll be familiar with that single, but the next 2 as well, Pinky and Grimsby, really nice stuff. But then it takes a real dip before it picks up with a strong side too. So it's a really bit of a mixed bag, but it does include the brilliant Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which is absolutely gorgeous. So that's my number 6, Caribou from 1974. My number 5, I was really hoping this was going to be my number 1, because it is my favourite Elton John album actually, but I'm trying to do what I think is his best albums here, and I'm using my totally fallible scoring system for scoring each song and trying to work it all out mathematically. So my favourite Elton John album, which is Blue Moves from 1976, only comes in at number 5 using my own methodology. So I don't know what that says. Maybe I should stick more to the gut instinct, but this is gorgeous stuff. This is also a double album. I love the cover on this. It's actually taken from a painting from Patrick Proctor. And this is, I don't know, this is really different, this album. It's reflective, it's full of different stylistic ideas. The use of orchestration and horns, I think, is really brilliantly done on this. The band are absolutely superb. I think this is the newer rhythm section and the more expansive sort of band, but they really excel on this album. And it's a for a double album, it's hugely consistent. I don't think there's a bad track on it really. There's no real hit singles on there as far as I can remember. Did Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word, was that a hit single? I can't remember. It's a lovely song, as is Tonight, which he does with the London Symphony Orchestra, and he does one or two on here that sound a bit like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, with a West Coast vibe, harmonies and stuff. But it's a lovely album. Listen to it if you haven't already done so. I would recommend it. Blue Moves from 1976. My number 4, what a cracking album this is. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Elton is Captain Fantastic. Bernie, the lyricist, is the Brown Dirt Cowboy. And this is an autobiographical album. This is the story of Elton John and Bernie Taupin's sort of early career, if you like. It's just really done. It's a brilliant production. Got to give credit to the wonderfully named Gus Dudgeon, who produced most of Elton John's, or all of Elton John's albums. As a great band, as I've said before. And my favourite track on here is Someone Saved My Life Tonight, which, you know, is as I say, autobiographical. When Elton was feeling suicidal, and in fact, Long John Baldry saved his life that night. Great album. My number 4, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy from 1975. My top 3 albums all come from a couple of year period, 1970 to 72. And I think as a trilogy of albums, they came one after the other. Absolutely stunning albums. Great covers as well. And Taupin's lyrics, the way Elton John and Bernie Taupin worked, as you'll probably know, Taupin just provided him with lyrics. Elton would go away and often very, very quickly work out some melodies and hooks and tunes and set them to music, and Elton John had a brilliant talent for that. Taupin's lyrics are often, I don't know, for me they're not the selling point. They're not great, but on these 3 albums, I think they're stronger. But Taupin's lyrics are stronger than on the others. And so my number 3 is Tumbleweed Connection from 1970. This is a sort of concept album, Themes of the Wild West. It's got an absolutely brilliant cover with this inner booklet with the lyrics and artwork, some brilliant artwork to depict the themes, that the Wild West themes they're singing on. Very reminiscent of the band, you know, the band during the singing of the Civil War and those type of issues. As I said, the lyrics are stronger. There's no actual hits on this album, I don't think. I think my favourite track on here is, it's probably the whole aside. One Ballad of a Well-Known Gun, Talking Old Soldier, Son of Your Father. But a beautiful sort of Americana style album, Tumbleweed Connection from 1970. My number 2, very similar Americana theme. This has got longer songs. This is Madman Across the Water. It's similarly got a beautiful inner sort of booklet, lyric sheets, etc. On this one, I think Elton John's singing is absolutely sublime. I think this is Elton John's strongest singing of all the LPs that I've got of him. The lyrics are better, they're more expansive, and the album opens with the beautiful hit single Tiny Dancer, but it goes on, and it's a gorgeous Americana style album. Madman Across the Water from '71, my number 2. Leaving as my number 1 Elton John album, Honky Chateau from 1972. Again, a lovely cover. Again, a sort of it's not an Americana thing. There's a much more mixed theme on that. It starts with the great sort of funky Dr. John style Honky Cat, and then it's just really, really strong all the way through. But it does include the absolutely sublime Rocket Man, which I just think is absolute genius. The arrangements on that are absolutely brilliant. But also Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatter's on side too. Brilliant song. This was the first album that guitarist Davy Johnson played on, and I think he really made a difference on this to the sound. He's a great guitarist. There's absolutely no bum songs. Lovely album. My number 1, Honky Chateau. The Chateau actually refers to the Chateau in France where they decamped to record this, but so it's my number 1, Honky Chateau from 1972. So that's my Elton John. I'm sure people will argue with that, give me their own list, but also give me any recommendations for any Elton stuff later than 1976 that you think I might seek out to add to this collection. But thanks for listening. See you next time. Cheers.